Alright, welcome back to a new series I'm starting called The Breakdown. Today we're going to do a breakdown of this week's lick, which is week 11. So today we're going to be focusing on Eric Alexander, a great tenor player, saxophonist. So the lick for this week was off of his album called Straight Up, a tune called End of a Love Affair, and this is his break that he does going into his solo. It's a really cool break. It's got a lot of really cool moments in it that I really like, a lot of enclosures, and it's just a cool lick to have down. So I wanted to kind of break it down and see what makes it so hip. So going on my screen here, I've typed it up. Actually, this is in his key of G, so I'm gonna put it in the actual concert pitch, which is gonna be an F. All right. So I'm going to play the lick through just first. Sounds really cool. It's really hip. It's got a lot of those cool enclosures that I call. We'll get into those a little bit later on. So let's take a look at the harmonic of it. So let's take a look at the first chord, right? So we got two F major chords, right? Two F major chords, and then a G minor, C7, then F. So this G minor, C7, F is what we like to call. This is what we like to call a 2-5-1 in jazz. So essentially, the 2 chord is built off the second scale degree, in this case F major, and the second scale degree of F major is G. And then the 5, which is C7, which is built off the 5 of F, which is, of course, C, like I said. So those are automatically pretty standard in jazz. You'll see that everywhere. So this is what's considered a major 2-5-1 because it resolves to a major chord. We also have a minor 2-5-1, which I'll get to in a later video, that goes to a minor chord. A little bit more difficult to understand. So let's just dive right in here. So let's look at this first bar here, right? I'm going to play it. I'm actually going to slow it down just so we can really hear what he's actually doing, right? All right, so let's break this down. So the first thing we encounter is C, D, E. Now, you may think this is a little bit weird because E is like, it's the major 7th, which is, of course, it's a major 7th chord. So it's kind of a cool note, but I generally don't like putting the 7th directly on a beat or trying to emphasize it. But what's cool about this is what it's called an enclosure. So essentially what Eric was doing here is he's actually doing what's called, he's targeting a note, right? And in this case, he's actually targeting this F a little bit later on. So I'm going to highlight that here. Properties, right? Make that a nice green, right? Because it's a chord tone, right? F, A, C, and F are our main chord tones, while E natural is our major 7th, right? So here's our chord tone. So let's take a look here. E, G, G flat, or F sharp. They're in an inharmonic equivalent, and then back to E and then F. So you see he's actually surrounding these F with chromatic notes. So this is what we like to call an enclosure. So even though he's playing this E on the downbeat, really he's trying to target this F. And so that's what really gives us this really kind of cool, fun bebop sound that a lot of people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie used when they played. Right? So that's a fun little enclosure. Now let's go a little bit later on. All right. F, G, A, B flat. Okay, here we go. Same thing again. A B natural. Well, how can we play a B natural if it's an F major chord, right? Don't we have a B flat? Again, it's an enclosure, right? So let's take a look. B natural, D, D flat, that B natural again. And what do we have here? C. What is C? That's the 5th of F, right? So I'm going to highlight that. All right, give that a green. All right, so now we have another chord tone. So this is the 5th, and this is the 1. So I'm actually going to put a little marker over there. So we got the 3rd, and we have the 5th, right? So let's take a look at this enclosure here. This enclosure, B natural, D, D flat, B, and then C, right? So once again, he's chromatically surrounding these notes. These are called surround notes. And then he's targeting the C, right? Right? So in this first lick, I'm assuming when he played this, this is either he had this already down on his fingers, but when he was writing this out, or whatever, however he came up with this lick, right? He was thinking, I'm going to surround the third, and I'm going to surround the fifth, right? And then these extra notes here, they're just passing tones, right? They're just trying to get us to the next place for now. Just trying to get us to the next place. All right, now let's get to here. All right, now we get another, we have another enclosure, right? So what are we targeting? Oh, here we go. There's the F sharp. It's the 1, but an octave up. Oh, did I mark this as a 3? I apologize. 1. All right, that's the 1. Okay, so now we have another 1, right? So this is the 1 chord. What are we surrounding it with? E, G, F sharp, E, F, right? So this is down a half step. This is up a full step, up a half step, and then this is below a half step, right? Do-ba-do-ba-do. You'll hear that everywhere. Zoo-ba-do-ba-do. That's so common in bebop language. You'll hear it all over the place, right? Now let's go here. What is he doing here? We have these kind of arpeggios, but how can we take a look at them? All right, so I know how I mentioned before we had the 2-5-1 down here, right? We have the G7 and the C7, right? Kind of cool hip notes. So let's take a look at what he's done here. So we get F, D, B flat, and G. Well, wait a minute. Those are just outlining the G7 chord, right? It's an arpeggio of G7, right? So this entire thing here, let's flip that around. This entire little arpeggio here, he's outlining a G minor 7 chord, or the 2 chord, right? So underneath here, we'll put the text. That's a 2 chord. And I'm going to put the 7 on there. Flip it underneath. Right, so now we have the 2 chord right there. I'm going to highlight that and put that in like yellow. That'd be kind of cool. Right, and we'll go through all this back at the begin just to wrap it up, and I'll play it for you. All right. So yeah, this is outlining our 2 chord. A minor 2 chord. Now let's get here. What do we have here? E, C, A, G, K. That's kind of an odd thing, right? So we have there's A minor, C, E, G, F sharp. So this is where this lick can be put up for interpretation. Here we have F sharp, G, A, C, and E. The way I'm looking at it right now, I'm kind of taking this F sharp as a flat 9. So in the key of F major, right, our 9 or our 2 is G, and if we flat that, we get our flat 9, which is F sharp or the G flat, right? So really this could be considered a G flat as well. I'm gonna just leave it as an F sharp. So we got E, C, A, G, F sharp. So we got the flat 9, and we got the 3, 5, and 7, right? And then he has this G, which is kind of acting like a passing tone, right? Because I think he really wants to highlight this flat 9 here, right? So let's write that in. So it looks like we got a flat 9 here. And I'll flip that over, right? And then we got another arpeggio right here. Trying to highlight some of these cool chords, right? Cool pitches. All right, let's do appearance. Let's make this, well, we know yellow doesn't work. Maybe try like a pink. Yeah, that would be cool, right? So get this kind of cool flat 9 along with the 7, 3, and 5, right? Now let's take a look here. We get E flat, C, and D flat. What the heck? We're in F, right? But what are we doing? Okay, let's look ahead now. Oh, look at that. We got a D, right? So if we go back here, E flat, C, and D flat. Well, those once again are surrounding notes, right? So they're targeting this D, right? Which just happens to be the 5th of G minor 7, right? So they're surrounding that 5, and they're really targeting it, right? So that's what's making that cool. So I'm going to mark this as the 5th. We got the 5th here, right? We got the 5th. All right. So we've already done the first 2 bars, and we've gotten a lot of information, right? So surrounding the 1, surrounding the 5, surrounding the 1, going up passing tone, surround the 5, keep on going up, surround the F, natural here, go down the 2 chord arpeggio, and then we have here kind of a cool flat 9 arpeggio highlighting the flat 9, the 3rd, the 5th, and the major 7 with a passing tone of G. And now we have another enclosure targeting this fifth of the next chord, which is G minor 7, which is the 2, right? So let's look at this. D, E, F, D. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's just kind of a cool pattern right now. A, G, F, D. All right, so these are kind of just cool patterns that he has here. He's not really thinking of anything that I really see as like an enclosure. That I would say enclosures usually tend to be pretty chromatic. Not saying that you couldn't do an enclosure with the diatonic scales, but it's usually more effective using chromatic notes. So we got this fifth here. Really, I think he's trying to just highlight this B flat here, right? So this B flat, now we have, is the flat 7 of C7, right? So I'm going to put that in. So flat 7. Flip that over, right? So I'm going to also highlight these notes as well. Appearance. Make that green. And then come here and make this also green. Right? Green, green. All right. So we have now the flat 7. Oh, here we go. Here's the 1. Got the 1 here. And then look at this. He's kind of, this is what I was talking before. This is kind of a diatonic surround. So we have the C here, right? Right? So he's got the C right here, which is the 1 chord. Oh, why did I keep on marking? This is the 5. Silly brain. All right, we got the 5 here, right? So flat 7, 5, and then the 1 here. All right, we got the 1 here. So now you can see, right? B flat, G, E, D, C, right? We're kind of surrounding this 1 chord. It's not a complete enclosure like the ones we've seen before, but it's still effective and will work. All right. And now we have another kind of enclosure as well. We're targeting this A, which is the 3rd of F, right? It's the 3rd. You can see here we have right, approaching it from 2 chromatic notes underneath, right? Right? Right, so once again, once we have these enclosures here, right? So this lick is a fantastic, as an entirety, is a fantastic just showcase of really good bebop language, right? Using an effective amount of chromatic enclosures, passing tones, arpeggiations, as well as some of the cool colored notes like the flat 7s and the flat 9s and the major 7s. So let's just go back through this entire lick again, right? So we start out here, C, D, E, land on the major 7 of the chord, right? And then we're using that to use as an enclosure to enclose the 1, highlight that. We're going to go up here. We're going to do another enclosure, right, to highlight the 5. All right. A few more passing tones. We get another enclosure, 3 enclosures in a row, right? 1, 5, 1. Another enclosure to highlight the 1. And the 1 is the start of our arpeggiation of the 2 chord. And now we got another kind of arpeggiation of a kind of a flat 9 chord, starting on the, so E, C, A, G, F sharp. That F sharp once again is that flat 9, and he's kind of just keep on arpeggiating it. And then this G is kind of acting as a passing tone. Okay, now we get another chromatic enclosure, really cool stuff, right? That's highlighting the 5 of the 2 chord, right? D. All right, now we got some more passing tones, just kind of a cool lick. He's not really adding anything special in here. This is a really fast lick, so doesn't have a whole lot of room for like adding a whole lot of cool extra notes really quickly. So yeah, we got a lot of passing tones here. I'll just call them passing tones. And then we got another kind of diatonic enclosure, right? So the flat 7, the 5, and then going down to the 1, really highlighting this 1. And then we have another chromatic enclosure here, highlighting this A. Finishing off the lick, right? So in all, it's going to sound like this. Right. So you can hear all those enclosures really bring out a lot of the bebop language in this lick. It's a really cool lick. It's a little bit long, longer than a lick that I usually put in, but I think this is a really good one to have underneath your fingers, especially for like a cool break like he does, and end of a love affair. Uh, there's not much else to talk about this lick. It's just really cool. So using these enclosures and these like 1, 5, and 1 here, especially here at the beginning, 5 and 1, is a really cool way to start transposing this lick, right? To think about, okay, I'm going to do this like in all 12 keys. Let's do this in G major. All right, I have to do a chromatic enclosure that surrounds G, D, and then the G octave, right? If you can do that, you already have this first bar and a half already down underneath your fingers in another key, right? So thinking about numbers when you're doing jazz and thinking about licks and putting them into process in all 12 keys is just a really good way to get around all 12 keys, especially when you get to the harder ones like D flat or F sharp. Um, so I highly encourage you to at least try to put this in another key. G major would be another cool key to put this in. C is another great key. D, just some of the more simpler ones. Get this underneath your fingers is how I would practice. And this lick really fits anywhere. This really look, especially this ending here. This is a great, just quick 2-5-1 that could be used anywhere. Like I said, 2-5-1s are pretty common in jazz. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned at least a little something about this. I'll probably do this every couple weeks or so. I just like breaking down some of these really fun licks that I've been learning and doing and sharing my thought process and how I think about them. If you guys have any other different opinions on how you might look at some of these licks and on how you approach it, especially like these arpeggios here in bar 2, I'd appreciate hearing how you guys think about them. It's just kind of however you guys think about jazz. This is how I think about it. I think about it in numbers and chords. It's like so, but if you have a different way and that works for you, that's always great. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in a little bit.